Hello everyone, welcome to Data Analysis Scholarship course. This is Cohort 2 of Data Analysis Scholarship. Tonight we will be looking at Excel tables, pivot table and Excel word merge. This is another section in our data analysis scholarship using Microsoft Excel. In this scholarship, we take Excel for data analysis from beginners up to the advanced level. And at the end of this scholarship, every participant, registered participants, become a certified data analyst using Microsoft Excel. Welcome for tonight's section. Please confirm if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Drop in the comment section, drop in the chat if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Much appreciated. My name is Franklin. I'm a seasoned data analyst and a management consultant representing Soluma Institute of Tech and Management. Let me know, drop in the comment if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Much appreciated. I welcome us once again for tonight's section, Data Analysis Scholarship course Cohort 2. Tonight we will be looking at Excel tables, we will be looking at pivot table, also we will be looking at Excel word merge. In today's section, that's what we will be exploring. We will be looking at how to handle Excel tables, merge, pivot table, and we are going to be seeing some real life application, real world application as regards to what we have today. Okay, welcome once again. If you can hear me, if you can see my screen, drop in the comment, drop in the chat. Much appreciated. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Drop that in the chats. And as our tradition is for those of us in the scholarship, let's head over to the scholarship group and tag everyone. Let everyone know we are live. Let everyone know we are live. Let everyone know we are live. Today, Excel power skills. That's what I call it. These are power skills. These are skills in data analysis that will save you loads of time. I guarantee you that. When you master Excel tables, when you master pivot table for analyzing large data sets, and Excel word merge is going to save you a whole lot of time. That's why I call it Excel power skills. That's why I call it Excel power skills, tables, pivot table, merge. Drop in the comment if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Drop in the chat. Let me confirm that we are all on the same page. I need to confirm that from us. Please, if you are hearing me this moment, drop in the comment, drop in the live chat. Drop in the live chat on this live section. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Welcome Adeyemi, welcome Ayomide. Let me know if you can hear me, guys. Let me know if my screen is visible, everything is okay from your end. I don't intend to waste much time this night. Let's get that started. I want us to head to the scholarship group. Let them know we are live. Drop in the chat, we are live. Let's do that. Thank you, Adeyemi. Yes, I can. Beautiful. Go to the scholarship group as well. Go to the scholarship group, tag everyone, let them know we are live. Thank you, Ayomide. Let them know we are live. I can hear you. Beautiful. Let's do that. If you have done that, if you have gone to the scholarship group, let me know. Go to the scholarship group, guys. Let's do this now because we don't have much time. I intend to end this session this night, latest 10:15 or even 10 o'clock. I don't intend to stay much. I had a very engaging day today. I traveled and all that, so I don't want to stay much time today, highest 10 o'clock or at most 10:15. So let's go ahead and do that. Head over to the scholarship group on the WhatsApp group. Just type there "we are live." Type there "we are live" or "we are started. Let's join." Just do that so that we can quickly comment. I want to give us a minute or some seconds to do that so that we can comment. All right, while we are on it, let's quickly head over to our Excel and then begin the journey this night. We are going to be working with this worksheet. We are going to be working with this sheet. Let me know what you can see. Let me know what you can see. What can you see right now on your screen? We are going to be working with this data set. We are starting with exact tables. I'm going to explain to us, I'm going to expose us to the power of exact tables, how exact tables can be of immense help us to work fast, help us to ensure that our data set is very, very dynamic, and we don't need to do certain things manually, or we don't need to do some double clicking. All we just need to do is to ensure that we put our data set in a table. All right, Ayomide says done, sir. Beautiful. And Arthur says done. Okay, beautiful. Ayomide is ABC Superstore. January says beautiful. I appreciate that feedback from us. Okay, without further ado, let's quickly start. Tonight we are starting with exact tables. Why do we need to convert our data into a exact table? Already this data is in a tabular form. Already the data before us is in a tabular form. However, why do we have to, or why do we need to convert it to a table? There are lots of advantage, especially when we are dealing with a range of high volume data and the repetitive data. For example, let's say this is January sales. And in January sales, we receive our sales every day. Every day we receive sales, we put here. The next time we receive sales, the next tomorrow we receive our sales, and then build up the January sales summary report. Now, if your data is not formatted, if your range is not formatted in a table, you are going to be repeating certain things. You are going to be doing certain things repeatedly. But if you format it in a table, you don't need to just, when you bring in your data, every calculation, every formula you have done automatically updates. Excel automatically absorbs it and then do the rest calculation. That's one of it. Another power of exact table is that you don't need to, when you do a calculation here, automatically Excel fill it up for you. Not that you calculate revenue, for example, and now I will now come to drag it down or double click for it to happen. No. But if it's in a table, if my data set is in a tabular form, once I do that automatically. So what do I need to do now? Let me do this here. Let me say Control Shift down, Control backspace. So what I want is, I want to move this to this place. Let me hold my Shift. So automatically it shows me the vertical. Remember, when you want to move, what I want is that category will take the place of revenue. Okay, I want it to be here. So I want category, I want it that category takes the place of unit and unit sheet front. So that revenue takes the place of category, selling price per unit takes the place of unit, revenue, and units take the place of selling price per unit, and category takes the place of unit. That's what you do, and I have taught us this, the shortcut to move data around your data set. So once I release my cursor, I will hold my shift. If I don't hold shift, it won't work. So when I release my hand from my mouse, before releasing my hand from my shift button. So once I do that, you see automatically that is what we have. We achieve our aim. Okay, now let me delete this. I will still do the calculation. But let me delete this. Right click and delete. Let me delete that and insert. But now let me remove the corner stuff and other this. Is not in a tabular form, so let me remove it. Okay, now what do I mean if like this is not in a tabular form? If I calculate revenue, which is equals to this shift 8 times this, that's the revenue, and hit enter, it will just give me this. However, if I wanted to calculate for the rest, I will have to double click. Bear that in mind, please. So let me now format this data as a table. So to put it in tabular form, what you just need is to click anywhere within this range. Please make sure that the range you want is separated from anything you don't want. And how to separate it from whatever you don't want is to create another empty column. This empty column or this separates this data from these ones. So when we remove this empty column, when we put in empty column in between the two, Excel will just dictate only from product ID to selling price per unit. That's what Excel will dictate. And to be inside is visible from my end. I want to believe also it should be visible in your end. You can increase the quality of your video on YouTube so that you can be able to see it properly. Okay, so to format as table, you can click anywhere within this place. You go to insert, you will see this table here, or you press Ctrl T. Is the shortcut we have talked about this keyboard shortcuts. So once I press the table, you see automatically Excel dictates the range I'm working on. Excel dictates this range. Let's say this is how our table is, and this here show you my table have headers, and the headers are this product ID. If you don't do that, this is not checked, if this checkbox is not checked, that means if I create this table, Excel will insert another column header using the name column 1, column 2, column 3, and the likes. But our table has headers, so I have to check it. I have to ensure that this is selected by clicking on it. In case on your own is empty, ensure you click on it to select it or to check it. Then I say okay. Now you notice automatically this is formatted in a table, and when I click inside, you will now see a table design app that shows. If I click out of this particular table, if I click out, that table design disappears, showing that I'm no longer in the table. So if I click inside, the table design shows, and here is different styles. I can decide to format this table using any style you want, design style, color style, and what have you. If I select this, okay, I have done something on this particular data set before to maintain this, but on your own, if you are creating it for the first time, it will give you that leverage to change the color of okay. Now the next thing you will notice is on this called the table 1. Now in this table 1, what you just need to do is to rename it. Always ensure you name your table. When we get to data visualization, you will see why the need to name our tables when we begin to do data connection, to connect different tables together so that we can create a dynamic and interactive dashboard. So here we have to call it, let's say we call it, for example, Gen sales, for example, and then hit enter. That's the name of this table. Now, these filter buttons, if we don't need it, we can go ahead and come to this filter button and remove it. Now, what is the essence of me putting this in a tabular form? Now, let's take, for example, I now want to calculate revenue. Because it's in tabular form, once I put something beside the table, automatically it will absorb it into the table. So if I come here and type revenue, if I come here and type revenue, hit enter, automatically it absorbs it into the table. Now, the next thing I will do is to get the revenue. I can now say equals this times this. Now, what you are seeing here, because it's in a table, Excel is now recognizing their column headers. Excel is using their column header. In other words, whatever that is in column selling price per unit, we multiply whatever that is in column units. That's what it's telling you now. That see, I'm not going to do it just for this one alone. I'm going to do it for whatsoever that is in this column. We multiply whatsoever that is in this column. So having established that, when I hit enter, you see automatically, you see that here, automatically it does the rest. I don't need to come here and then double click and what have you. Automatically it calculates the rest for me. That is one aspect of Excel table. So if I press Control down to get to the last, you will notice this a 5,000 over a 5,500 data range. So this is the last. With this stuff you are seeing here, there is a dark stuff you are seeing here. That shows you this is the last data range in this table. If we add a new data to it, it will still be the last. It will now extend, not still, it will extend to the last. So bear that in mind, it will extend to the last. So let's take, for example, here we want to do a quick analysis. To do a quick analysis on this table, instead of come here to calculate total revenue of this, total quantity, or total units, we can come here. We can come to the table design and then activate this called total row. We can activate this total row. So when I activate it, if I activate the total row, you will notice there is a value here. Let me come here and make the color black. It should be, yes. Now you notice that value. Now when this value shows you total, this is total revenue. If I come over to this, which is unit, and one thing about Excel is that even if when you are going down, Excel will automatically, as a table will still be showing you the table headers, the column headers. You will know where you are. So this, we are in unit. If I want to get the total unit, I will still come here, click this drop down arrow, and then come here to select sum. It will show me the total sum of units because I have activated the total row option. So it will show me the total units. So here it shows us that we have sold 30,947 units of item. If I want to know the total selling price per unit, I can come here and then say sum. So with that, we can do a quick analysis. We can do a quick analysis on this. Now, if we add data to this, it will also automatically grab it. It will automatically also adapt to the new data set or the new data we added to this data set rather. How do I name? Now let me deactivate this. Let me deactivate this. And let me remove this from being a table. Let me remove this. This is a table. Let me remove it from being a table so that you understand what I'm saying. Here, if I calculate any calculation I did on this table, if I enter any other value to it, as a table, it will update once I refresh. Now, but here, let me remove this table, let me convert this to range. Let me convert it to range. So, do you want to convert a table to a normal range? I say yes. Now this is no longer a table. As you can see, when I click on it, the table tab doesn't display. Okay, let's do some little calculation using this revenue. Let's do some calculation. Let me clear this. Let me clear this. Okay. Now let's say I've calculated, I want to know the total revenue. The total revenue, I say sum. I click on this, Control Shift down and hit enter. It brings me the total revenue. Then I want to know the average. I say equals average revenue, double click, do this, Control Shift down, enter. We have this, let's say, and what's other thing I can calculate? Let's say count, the total number. I say equals count. And then come to this, Control Shift down, enter. We know the total. Distinct, not sum. Distinct times we made sales. Distinct time we made sales. That's 5,630. We want to know the largest revenue. So the maximum rather. We want to know the maximum revenue. We come over to this place and say max. Double click. Come to this, Control Shift down, enter. That's max. Here we want to know the mean. We say equals mean. This, click Control Shift down arrow to select the entire range and hit enter. That is mean. So we have done this basic calculation. We have done this basic calculation based on range. Based on range. This is just a data range, not formatted as a table. Now I'm going to format it as a table and do the same calculation. Follow me, please. I'm going to format it as a table and do the same calculation. Okay, now let me go to insert, select table. My table have headers. Okay, now let me remove this filter, and then this is a table. We formatted it now as a table. Now let me calculate the same under sum. Let me do the same thing under sum equals sum. Double click this, click here, and say Control Shift down, and then hit enter. We have the same value. We have the same value. So I'm going to also say equals average. I know why I'm taking my time to explain this like this, so that we understand the difference. I said the same average. We have the same average. Yes, it's the same average, just that here we haven't formatted it. We didn't format it in currency, which we can go ahead, come over to this, and then come to currency, 2 decimal places, get to look for, we look for Nigeria, and this is Nigeria. We say okay. So this is what we have. We have in 2 decimal places. Okay, we can remove the currency. Let's remove the 2 decimal places so that they are both the same. So we don't think that we have the same value. Okay, now here as well, I'm going to do that equals count. So you understand the power of table. Putting your data set in a tabular form, Control Shift down, enter. That you have this. I'm going to do the same here, equals name. Double click here, go click, Control Shift down to highlight the entire range, hit enter to calculate the same. I'm going to do that here, equals max, and then we are going to do the same, Control Shift down and hit enter. So we have the same max value. Now, what we are going to do now, is I'm going to get another data. I'm going to get another data to add to this particular table down. Let me see. I have product, state, zip. Let me see if there is another data that I can use in that regard. Yes, this can give me that, but the arrangement is different. Okay, see what I will do. What I will do is that I will just copy some data here. Let me just copy from this range like this. Let me just copy. So Control C to copy. I'm copying this. Now Control down to come down. Now I want to paste it here. I want to paste the data I copied down. I copied from there to this place. Now why do I want to do that? So that I can add extra data to this data range. We are in 5,637. So that data that I copied, I can add it here to increase the number, so that we can see the one I calculated as range, when it's just a table, a data range, and when I formatted this as a table, the difference, what will happen. So if I do that here, if I come here and then right click and paste, we copy, I think I copied it. I think so. I think so. I want to believe so. So let me just copy within center. And then let me come here and paste it. So if I paste it here, is going to be absorbed. Now look at it. Immediately I pasted it here, the table absorbed the entire data. The table absorbed the entire data. Now let's take for example, let's say here, let's say the selling price per unit of this one, let me add 10 to it and come here and add 00 to it, and let's say that is this. Let's say this now becomes the maximum. I think this should be the maximum revenue. The maximum revenue. Okay, now having done that, let's go back to our calculation. Now, when we do that, this absorbs it. There's something I wanted to show. Okay, let me create another sheet, because that already in a table. Let me create another sheet, and then Control Shift forward, Control Shift down, and let me copy this. Copy. Let me come to this sheet, and let's say I paste it here, and boom, we have this descent table. Please go with me. We have this descent table. Let me zoom in a bit. So this table we have here, I'm going to change it to range. Yes, I'm converting it to range. It's now in range. This is sheet 2, this is sheet 1, this one is in a tabular form, and we have the total to be this. Okay, let me copy this. Let me copy this, Control C, and let me come here. Let's say I paste it on top here so that we don't delay. Okay, now I want to calculate the sum and average on this range. I say equals sum, double click, this is my total revenue, Control Shift down, hit enter. Then the sum equals average, my total revenue, my average revenue, hit enter. I have this. Let's also have max. Let's also have max and mean. Okay, now let me say equals max, double click here, Control Shift down, hit enter, and then mean equals mean, and then click on this revenue range, Control Shift down, hit enter. We have our name from this range. Now, let's do something. Let's do a similar stuff we did. Let's do a similar stuff we did in this table. Remember, immediately we added the extra data set, all these updates. This was 30 before, 500, 5,630 or so. It was it was updated. This one also the same was 900 and something. It updates automatically. But let's do the same here. Let's do a similar stuff on this data set. Remember, this is not in a table. This no longer is not formatted in a tabular form. Is formatted in is being formatted in just a range of data. So I'm going to copy. Let's say I copy this. Let's say I copy this. Copy, and then let me go down. Let me go down here to paste. Right click and paste. Boom. That is here. Let's move up. And we can see that nothing changes. Nothing changes. This was the previous result. Nothing changes. The minimum revenue 5,000. Now let's take, for example, let's change this revenue, or okay, this. Let's say we have this. Let me remove this. Hit enter. Let me Control C. There's something I want to be sure about. This is 5,790. That's the last cell. 5,790. This is what we have. And okay, let me redo this and say equals to this times this. Hit enter, and then double click here. Then every other thing updates. Okay, then if we come here the same. All right, now let me copy it. Let me just take a random data from here. Let me take random data from here and add to our existing data. And add to our existing data and see if there will be an automatic update. And see if there will be an automatic update. I want to copy at least over 500. Yes, I have done that now. Copy. Let me go down to paste it. Let me go down to paste it. Now here I paste. So it has added from 5,790. We now have up to 6,490. Beautiful. Now let's now see if our calculation is updated. Let's see if our calculation is updated. Now from what we have here, we can still see that we are having the same stuff, which is that I have to redo this formula again. For example, if I remove this and hit enter, this will change to this. Why? Because it's part of the data that got this. Pay attention. Now let me put Control C to bring it back. It will change. But if I come down, and come to this, and let's say give it 3,000 and hit enter, this one is now 3,000 something, which should be the minimum value, because our minimum value is 5,000 something. Now when we still get here, it's still showing us that our minimum value still remains 5,280. Why? Because Excel did not recognize the data we just added. We need to perform this calculation again. This total sum, I need to still come and perform it again. Now what if I say sum and then double click here, come over to this, Control Shift down and hit enter. You will see that I have a new revenue sum. But if it's in a table, if we formatted this data range as a table, automatically it will absorb it. Let's head over to our table here. Let me delete this. Now we already have this calculated: total sum, average, minimum, maximum. Now let's add a new data. Let's add a new data as we did in the other one. Let me confirm the last range is 5,790. Beautiful. So let's add a new data. Let me add something. I need to have to ensure that I copied a lot of it. Okay, I got it copied. Let me come down and now add it. Let me add it to this data now. Remember, our last range, our last rule is 5,790. So when I paste the one I copied to add to this, it absorbs it, and then we are now in 6,371 range of data. Now let's now go ahead and check our data set. Now in this case, let me edit something. Like I did here, which did not reflect. Let me edit something here. I'm going to remove 2 here. I'm going to remove 4 here to be 2, and then come here and put 1. Hit enter. So the minimum will be 2,610. Remember, this is the new data we added, and that is where our minimum value falls in. Let's see if it will reflect from the result we have. Now automatically you see that everything immediately, we don't need to bother, because this is already a table. Once we add a new data, automatically all the measures, all the calculations we have done will update on its own. You see this total is already updated. If I double click it now, you will see that Excel absorbs it till the last, which is 6,371. So we are still in order. So if we come to the mean, you see automatically it shows us that the mean now is no longer the previous mean. Is now the minimum, rather, not the mean value. The minimum is now 2,610 naira. So this is the power of table, and we use table to create some dynamic and some self-updating data sets to automate to automate repetitive tasks. So if I receive this and I need to have my sales summary, the total sales, the average sales, the maximum sales and count, I have my sales summary and my sales data. I don't need to worry myself whether my sales summary is updated once I formatted the data in a table. So what I need is this January sales as we receive, as we close the sales for today, every other stuff is updated. As we are entering, as the sales is being entering, is being updated. Now, when we get into automated sales form or automated data entry form, you will see certain tricks that the table helps us to solve. So in working with Excel as a data analyst, you need to ensure that any data you are working with is formatted in a table. There are benefits, there are advantages of having your data set formatted in a table. So these are the things that we have as in our Excel tables. It saves updates and it absorbs data that is being added to it. If you add data to this place, it will absorb it. But if you don't want Excel to absorb the table, if you don't want the table rather to absorb the data, just give it one column space. And one other thing as regards to Excel tables is that you can remove duplicates. If there are duplicates here, which should be based on what we just copied, you can, if you don't want duplicates, you can remove duplicates. You know, duplicate means, what we mean by duplicate is that everything here is, there are repetition, there are duplicates. So if I come here and say remove duplicate, now it will ask me what do I use, what should I use in removing the duplicates. Now, as you work as a data analyst, you know that every sale is unique. Every sale is unique. Here now we might not have any stuff to use because there's no sales ID. Because normally every sale, every receipt you make, every receipt, every sale you make should have a sales ID. But if we want to format this in such a way that they have different product ID, each product has their separate ID. If we are doing it in that manner, I can come over to to delete duplicates. I will just remove all these. So if I do that, my data has headers. So if I use this and say, okay, it says 3,000 something duplicate found and remove. Now what is remaining is 3,177 unique values remain. So what that means is that no product ID here is repeated. No product ID here is repeated. So which means in our store, every product has their unique, every product have their unique ID. So if I'm selling HP, even if I have 100 HP in my store, each of those HP have their unique product ID, whether they are the same make, whether it's HP 508 gigabytes, the same make, the same speed, everything, but each of them we code it with a unique ID. So that in our sales report, in our sales data, we can't have the same product ID. That can be. So when as an analyst, you now know that this is how your data set is. When you format it in a table, you automatically come and ensure no duplicates, no mistakes. They didn't enter the same value twice, because that shouldn't be. So if that is the case, we say, okay, now when we scroll down, you see that this data now stops. Before it was 5,000 something, now 6,000 something. Now it now stops at 3,000 something. Now you see where it stops. Say 3,077. Now you see where it stops. Why is it 3,084? Because we have a space up. We have a space. So this is where, why? Because it has now removed unique IDs. It has now removed unique IDs. And here we are seeing some stuff that we cannot. So it's everything is self-updating. So here if we say equals this times this, hit enter, every other thing is there. Let me check those ones that have 0. What happened that made them to have 0? That means there is an error here on this data set. Okay. I'm seeing something is not recognized. These ones is not. Because of that copy and paste. Okay. Where that 0 stop is what I'm looking for. So you ought to ensure that your data is ready, everything is okay, your headings are okay, you format before you format in a table. Now here is showing us something. It will say this cell is inconsistent with the column formula. So here I can say equals this times this and hit enter. So once that is done, I can double click this down to have others done in that manner because of that copy and paste and duplicates, removing duplicates. So that way everything is in order. Now you see immediately we do that, it automatically updates. Here it was 600 and something before. So that is except table. That is for the table. That is for Excel table. Now moving over to pivot table. Pivot table is what we use to analyze large data sets. We use pivot table to analyze large data sets. And I'm going to be using this data set for it. Now, pivot table is one of data analysis exec engine that helps us to analyze data fast. All this formula we are putting in all this formula we are calculating unique, we are filtering, we are doing index match and all that. Pivot table helps us to have a deeper analysis on our data set with ease and at a very fast rate. That's what pivot table helps us to achieve. It helps us to do that with ease and at a very fast rate. So to do that, let me zoom in a bit so that we can see this more better. Now to get to insert our pivot table is also recommended that we first convert it to be in a table, so we can press Ctrl T. That is in table, and then we say okay. All right, let me remove the filter. We have this. Or instead of me doing it one by one, I will come here and then click it or they all align to each other. Here I will call it sales data and hit enter. So what I call it is sales data. Please note, it doesn't have space. When you are naming your table, you don't have to put space, you don't have to put asterisks, you don't have to put hyphen. The only thing you can put is underscore. Now watch, if I put hyphen here and hit enter, it tells me that the syntax of the name is incorrect. Or I put space. If I put space, it doesn't accept it. Any other stuff, the only thing it understands or accepts is underscore. If I put underscore and hit enter, it allows it. So shows data, that's the name of the table. This already is in tabular form. As you can see, we have the table data. So once we do that, we can go to insert to put in our, to insert our pivot table. We go to insert tab. Under insert tab, you come to pivot table. From select from table/range. Now for once this is it, before we do that, we have to ensure that this, we don't have net sales, we don't have this and all that. So what we do, what we will now do is, I'm going to come here and delete this. I'm going to delete this. All right. So we have this starting from A1. Here I'm going to say insert table, from insert pivot table from table/range. That means is what the one we have here. If you want to insert it from an external source, you select this, but our table is here already. So if I come here and select, so once I do that, you can notice automatically exit dictates the table. Exit dictates the table we are talking about. Also, if you are using a newer version of Excel, I think from 2016, let me close this on Control C. If you are using that, you can also click here and go to from table/range. It will also dictate the table you are working with from here without taking this into consideration. And why is that so? Because there is a space here. Remember, to separate table from another, there is a space here. That's one of the things you also need to take into consideration. Also, you see this new worksheet. We are open our pivot table in a new worksheet. We don't want it in this existing worksheet. Add this data to the data model. We are not yet into data model. In cohort 1, we have talked about data modeling and Power Pivot. We will still get to that in cohort 2. All right, now we say okay. Now once that is done, a new sheet is created where we see our pivot table builder. This is where we build our reports. This is where we build our pivot table field list, build the report. This is the pivot table pane. If we click outside here, this disappears. That means we are no longer in the pivot table or the pivot table fields. But if we click anywhere inside here, this pivot table fields appears. So with that, when you come here, you see your cursor in this manner. This means you can click this, drag and move your pivot table out. Move your pivot table out and place it anywhere you like. As this is that you can place it anywhere you like, you can resize, you can do whatever you want with it. Okay. So if I click here, that shows up. What did I delete? What did I do? Wow. I made a very wrong. I did something very wrong here. Okay, this is what we are working with. Let me do that again. New worksheet. Okay, so we have our pivots table. Then we can bring it back to fit into what we have. This is this, and then we have settings. Here you can use different formats. You can use this, you can use, if you select this, you are using a format like this. You see your filter, you see your row, you see your column, you see your values. Sometimes I like using this pattern, your choice. If you put it this way, it only shows you stuff like this, which you want to see only this. If you put it this way, only this. If you put it in this format, you have it this way. The one I use is either this or I use this format. Either this format or the other format is what I use. So let me bring it to the default format you will mostly see. So having explained that, when you create your pivot table, you will see your pivot table tabs. You see pivot table analyze. Here you have different options. You have the pivot table, you call it the name pivot. So I can call it let's say I call it sales pivot. Hit enter. So in the pivot table analyze, you can have different options. You can have the slicer, the timeline. You refresh your data, and that's why your data should be in a table. When you enter new data in the table absorbs it automatically, and when you refresh it here, it also updates in your pivot table. That's very, very powerful feature in as regards to Excel. You can clear here field items, pivot chart, recommended tables. Now this field list, peradventure you create your own, or mistakenly you don't know what's up, what happens, and this is not available. You click inside the pivot, but your pivot pane, your pivot field panes are not displaying. What do? Just note that this is no longer active. You come to pivot table analyze and select the field list. Automatically this will display. Then we talk about pivot table design. We have this. We are still going to get to that. Now what do we have here? Let's take, for example, in this place, where is it this data we are working with? Okay, yes, is this. You remember here we did maybe sum if, average if, and you want to know how much is generated in Eastern region or how much is generated from Imo State. You will now need to, you want to know the total revenue generated from Imo State, for example, or you want to know the total revenue generated from Cross River, or the total revenue generated from Kano, and what have you. Instead of running that formula, sum if this, sum if and that, or the total revenue generated from North region in Sokoto State, instead of using the sum ifs, you just use your pivot table. What do? Let's say we want to know the total revenue generated by each state. We can come here. And okay, let's say I will put the region here. We have this. If you now want to know the total revenue generated from each region, this we have east, north, south, west. So here I will come here, take my revenue and move it into value. Automatically it shows me some. These are each revenue generated from different region. Here I can click anywhere here, right click. When I right click, I come to sort. I can say sort A to Z. Automatically it will sort it. I think it's already sorted this way. If we say okay, sort Z to A, you see it sorts it west, south, north, east. So in that manner, or here we want to sort it from, we can sort from smallest to largest, or from largest to smallest. It shows us the region that has the highest revenue, followed by west, east, and then south. So with this, we can easily do our analysis. Let's say we are not looking for total revenue. We are looking for the average revenue generated from each region. We come over to this place. You see this drop down arrow here, click on it, go to value field settings, it brings up to this, we can select average. Now once you select average, you click OK. Now it's no longer, this is now giving us revenue, average revenue. Now you see that in revenue generated, the north is highest, but in the average revenue generated, the west is this. What that simply tells us is based on the number of sales made and the amount sold. If you calculate it based on the total number of sales made by the total revenue generated and by the number of sales, that west is having high average revenue generated. So with the east following, north is having the least, which might be due to population. It might be okay in the north there are higher population of people, so there are more sales in that aspect. But when we check it by the total revenue generated, by the average revenue, we are seeing that west is having the highest average revenue generated from each region. Now let's take for example that I want to filter by states. I want to check. Let me come here, make it sum and have this revenue. Now let's say I want to add my filter. I want to filter by states. I want to know how much generated from a particular state. I don't want to see all the states. I want to see the amount generated from a particular state. So I can take this state field and put it in filter, in the filter box. So here I have my filter icon here, as you can see, and it shows all. But if I click the drop down, it sees all the states. And let's say I want to know how much generated from Cross River. I click on Cross River and say OK. You see that immediately it others remove, that is showing me only for Cross River, not for others. It's showing me only for Cross River. So and Cross River is in the southern region. Hence, if I go to design, I can come to grand total. If I say off this, the grand total will disappear, that I don't need it. So if I want a particular, if I want to now look for a particular stuff, I can come here and say, okay, I'm looking for total generated in Enugu State. I say, okay, it shows me what is generated in Enugu State. Now let's say I want to know what is generated in Enugu State, Edo State, and stuff like that. I will come here to say multiple selection. I click on it. It gives me option to select multiple. So I can click Edo, I can click Cross River, I can click on Kano, Kaduna, I can click on Osun. This is in West, this one is, so I can click on this and say okay. So it shows me each of them. Okay, if I now add Enugu to it and say okay, now it shows north, south, west and stuff like that, but each of them is showing each state from that particular region. So that is what we have in the filter. But let's say, for example, we don't need the filter, we can click it out, we can click and drag it out. Automatically the filter is removed. We are back to our total revenue generated. Now let's say, for example, we want to know the percentage average. We want to find out the percentage average. We want to find out percentage, the percentage revenue, rather. We want to know, group, make this in percentage revenue. This is revenue. We want to have percentage revenue. What do? We take this revenue again and put here. So once that is done, I will come to this place, right click, and come to show value as. When I come to show value as, I will go to percentage of column total, percentage of column total. So once I click on it, you see automatically it changes this to percentage. So I can see the total revenue, I can see the percentage. So here what I can just do is to come here and say percentage, to come here and say percentage revenue and hit enter. So that becomes to make it to be more sensible. So with this, we don't need formulas, we just have to do drag and drop. Drag and drop. So here we can select different pivot table design. You can select any choice of pivot table design, any choice you want for your pivot table. As you can see, it's been affected. Any choice you want for your pivot table, you select. So here you can do that. At the same time, you can insert your pivot chart. You can insert a chart on this. Go to pivot chart. It shows you a recommended chart. If you like, you can insert a pie chart, and let's say 3D, or you insert a donut chart. A donut chart like such as this. You see that there is a big one, there is a smaller one which shows the percentage and the revenue. Now is the same stuff and stuff like that. Let's say this is what we want, and we say okay. We have our chart. Let's say in this chart, I don't want this. Let's remove, hide field buttons on chart, hide all field buttons on chart. So once I click on it, that is being hidden. I can come over to this, select this, and select this, right click, go to format data series, go to format data series. It brings up this for us. Now look at the donut explosion. If I move this, you see that is separated. The one on top is separated. If I bring it back, they are all together. So if that's why is a donut chart. If you want to separate it, if you want to change the angle, you see if I'm increasing this, is moving in angular form, and if I'm doing this, is increasing as well. If I come here and be increasing this, the space is increasing. If I'm reducing it, you see the space is coming up, down. So it depends on how you want it to look like. Let's say, for example, we want it to be just 50% of the donut, and that way you have this. Remember, in our chart, we can also go to pivot chart, analyze, and change the chart name. You can also what do we have here? Okay, I think it's in design. Yes, in design you can change the chart type. Let's say the manager comes and said it's not pivot, it's not the donut we want it in pie chart. You select. You want it this, you select. So you can change it, or you want it in a bar chart, or in a line chart, or in a column chart. Depending on the chart you want, you can easily switch it from here. And at the same time, you can change your chart stuff. The percentage can show this, can do this, and then the layout. Quick layout, you can see this in percentage. You can see this here. You can select this. It shows you the values in percent and the values in figure based on revenue. depending on how you want it. So that you can bring in your chart on the format, you can change the chart area. This place you can come here and change the color yourself. I have shown you guys this during basic Excel chart. So you can design this, you can add your border color, your background, the design. Feel free to explore on what you have. Okay, now getting back to our pivot table, we can still come to our pivot table and insert a slicer. Now, inserting a slicer, what do we want to use to check this? We can say we can use category, we can say through manufacturer, we can say we have this as region already, we can slice through state, through this. So let's say we want to know how much we are generating from each manufacturer, how much revenue we are generating from the product of each of these manufacturers from different region. We can then click on this and say, okay, now we have our slicers and here are our managers. Here are our manufacturers, rather. Here are the manufacturers. So I can come here, expand this, come over to this place to place my slicer, and then go to my slicer tab. Under my slicer tab, I can, where is it, this report connection column. Now I can increase the number of column. Now you see this, it's 2. I can make it 3, and at the same time I can make it 4. So, and then I increase this, I can make it 5 column, and then increase this as well, and reduce this. I can come here, increase my charts to create a visual around this. I can still reduce it here and then create another chart for this. Let me come to my pivot table, analyze. Let me remove this. I can come here and okay, that's by the way. Let me just make it to stop here. So with this on my slicer, I can go to my slicer and then change the slicer color design. Let's say I want to sell to be this. It carries a similar color to what we have. And then if I want to check based on manufacturer, we want to know how much we are generating from others, from each of the region based on their product. I click on it, it will display, and you see automatically this is affected. So from Abbas, we are selling more of his product in the south, followed by east, north, and west. Then if I want to check this, I click on it. This product is selling more in the north. The product from this manufacturer is selling more in the north than other region, followed by east. Then we check Victoria. Victoria is selling more in the east and least in the west, followed by the north. So with this, we can easily do our analysis. We can easily get insights using the pivot table, do our visuals, see what is happening, and quickly analyze our data set with clicks and get insight from our data set. So this is what we have, and let's say the manager said, no, we are not using this. Remember, you can come to design and then go to data tab. Let's say we are using bar chart. You select your bar chart and you say, okay, it becomes this format, which you can feel free to change and explore, and here you can have this. Now you selected this. Someone might ask this, you have this, that means it's selling more in the north. From what we can see here, is selling more in the north. Now if you want to bring the overall, revenue generated this is only for Peru. If you want to now bring everything here, you come to this filter option and click on it. That's to clear it. So once you clear it, everything is active, and you can see for yourself what we have here. All right, that is on the pivot table. Also, as the pivot table, you can also insert a timeline. In the pivot table, you can also insert a timeline where it works with dates. The timeline works with date. You can come here and go to insert timeline. It's because our data has dates. We are selecting it, and then we click on it and we say, okay, now this is what we have. Here is the dates. We have this for our data set. So I can reduce this here to bring this below here. I just wanted a way to align them. Okay. And then let me place this one here. Let's say I bring this down. I'm just trying to align it. There is nothing much to it. So I can drag it up to this point. Okay, then pull this up. So with this, we have stuff like this. This is our data set is set. We have this, I think, is from July 2015 to December. That's what we have here. So if we want to know how much sales generated from each of these regions in July 2015, we click on it. So in this, there was no sale. We move forward, move forward, move forward, move forward, move forward. There's no sales here. Let's say in January, okay, we have a sales in January 2015. So when we click on January, we see that here there was much sales in the West. Maybe there was a celebration or stuff like that, or something in January that made it so, followed by North and followed by South and then East. Then we come to February. In the February, it now changes to East. We have more sales in the East, followed by West and that. So with this, you can track which time does sales move in different regions and what factors can we attribute to it that causes it. So we know when to act, when to make prompt, to how to strategize, how to make the decisions, certain decisions to make. Okay, from here in February, we are having a lot of sales coming in from East. How can we ensure that that same range of sales come from South, which is the least, followed by North and then East? What can we do to generate same amount of revenue within February? And also here, what can we do to sustain this growth or to sustain these sales when it comes to February? Because when it comes to February, it shows that our sales is going down. So with this data and with this pivotable timeline slicers, we can begin to draw high-level insights from our data set and then be able to make informed decisions. And that these are the stores, certain stores as regards to our pivot table. As we continue to work in pivot tables in subsequent time, we will be seeing different stuff as regards to pivot table. But these are the basic things that concerns pivot table. Okay. Now let's take for example, I remove this region here and then bring in, I remove this region here and then bring in states. Now you see that here in states, here now under this pivot, we have other states. We have other states. And in our bar charts, okay, this is February. That's why it's showing in February. You see that it shows these ones. Let me clear the filter. We have this, and then okay. Now we select all. That reminds me, we select all and we say okay. So from here now you see that the stuff we have here is a bit messy. So these are the states we operate in. So you can go ahead and do your stuff. These are the states we operate in. And if we expand this, we are having these guys. And then in the legends and other. So this is pivot table. We have done that. Let's quickly move to Excel Word Merge. Let's move to Excel Word Merge. On your own, you feel free to explore. You use pivot table to do a lot instead of writing formulas. It does the calculations for you, and that it brings out unique. You don't need to do unique. You don't need to type unique and then highlight to bring all the states. It brings them out uniquely. Okay, now having established that, let's quickly look at Excel Word Merge. What is Excel Word Merge? Now, I'm going to open Microsoft Word. Now, in Microsoft Word, let's take for example. This university is sending out admission letters to the students that have been admitted. How can you automate it? Let's say the students comes to get the admission letter, to print out the admission letter from the admission office, or the admission office wants to forward the admission letter to students' email so that they print it out from their email. How are you going to do that as an administrative personnel, as someone who needs to achieve your task? Are you going to be sending it one by one to the email? After you finish this, you come here and enter the person's name. After that, you enter the person's course, enter the person's department, enter the section, enter the admission status, and then this. Knowing fully well that the letter is the same for all admitted students, but the only thing that changes is their personal data. I got this template from Microsoft Office, so I just edited some name and stuff like that. So now I don't have time to begin to design a new admission letter and what have you. But in the admission, in the school, with the school letterhead and what have you, you want to send admission letter. You are an administrative personnel. or in your office you want to forward letter to all the heads of admin, all the heads of department, or to all employees, maybe a letter that there is a meeting, there will be a meeting by next month, and you want to send them that letter, personalized letter that bears their name, their department, their staff ID, and their some personal details, the department they work, their position, their branch name, and all that, to tailor it or to personalize it to different employees and to different branch. But the same letter, the same body, the only thing that changes is their personal details. Are you going to be typing it one by one and be including their name one by one? Dear so this, hello Mr. This. Now are you going to be doing that one after the other? Imagine you are to do it to 1,000 persons, 10,000 persons, 20,000, 100,000 individuals. Let's say schools that give admission to over 10,000 students. Are you going to be typing it, their names and that, one after the other, and be sending to their email? If that is what you do, then I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I want to apologize. I want to say sorry that you are suffering. Sorry you are suffering. Whenever you are to you are to send out a document to different individuals, but that has the same body of letters but has different personalities. Let's say you are an admin and you are to send letter to different professors in their different, you are working as an admin of a university, of a board, and you are to send letter to different professors, and does each professor has their own address, their emails, their own address, and their personal details. How are you going to do it? Are you going to be typing it one by one? That is wasting of work time and also stress to yourself. However, thank God that we have this we call Excel word merge. We have where we can have our data, the student data saved, the student data saved in Excel, and link it to our Microsoft Word, and then boom, everything goes out with ease. Everything does with ease. It's not something that you need to bother yourself. Ayomide, you are laughing. Yes, the person is suffering. So what do we do? How do we do that? That's what we call Excel word merge. I want us to learn this tonight and begin to use it in our various workplaces, in our various stuff. When you are sending out a memo to different departments, but the same body, but to different departments, to different branches, you use Excel merge. Ensure you have the data of different branches in your Excel saved once and for all, so that you can be using it repeatedly. Anytime there is a memo to be sent out, you just type out that memo in letterhead once and for all, and then begin to put in their names automatically. All right, to do that, let me go to my Excel and show us the admission list. Now, I just designed this list, generate this, a tentative list. Done is student ID, full name, course, department, admission date, section, admission status. So I just get this admission list and all the students admitted. Let's say we admitted 1,000 students in this section. We admitted 1,000 students. And we need to send them the admission letter so that they come over to start their admission process. I'm not going to be typing all these details one by one into this admission letter. I'm not going to do that, please. I will not try it. I will not try it. I don't like suffering, and I can't suffer on this type of stuff. So what do I need to do? What I will have to do is to first get to my lists, database list. Why? Every school, when students apply for admissions, their data are saved in a table. their ID, their full name, course they apply for or course admitted, department, everything are stored in a table. There is a database, there is a table for it. So as an admin, when they now come to say, okay, this set of students have been admitted, send them admission letter. I will ask them for the table. I will ask them for the data, for the list. They will forward the list to me in a tabular form, in a sheet, in a spreadsheet, or any form. I put it in my Excel, save it, format it, and save it this way. Please note, the A1, cell A1, you should not have any space. You should not come here and have a space. Let's say I inserted stuff, a space like this. No, it has to start from A1. And the A1 will be the A1, B1, C1. The first row will be the column headers. The first row will be the column header. Yes, ignorance is always costly, my brother. It's very costly. So the row this will be, as we have here, the column headers will be the first row. Then other rows will carry the details of what we have. So once you have them, you go to your Excel, save it. So now let me save it on my desktop. Let me save it on desktop where I can easily locate it. Admission list. Let's say I call it admission list, just admission list, and save it in my stuff desktop and say save. So this is saved on my desktop. That's the only thing I need to do. Format it in this format and save it. Now, the admission dates. Okay, let's proceed. If we have time, I will explain that aspect. So once you save it, head over to your Microsoft Word. Open your letter, the template, the letter that the school have drafted, or the organization have drafted, or the department have drafted, or you have drafted to send out. The memo, it can be anything. But because there is repetition, you are typing people's name or details, but the body of the letter or the information is the same. Instead of doing that, you save their details in Excel. So having done that, you come over to your Microsoft Word. This is the letter we want to send out to admitted students. What do? We come to this option called mailings. So once we come to mailings, where are we getting the recipients? We go to select recipients. We go to use an existing list. Follow me, please. Use an existing list. So once you get to this place, it opens up this. It asks you where are you going to get that list you are talking about. I said I go to desktop. Under desktop, it brings out different stuff I have. This is the list I'm talking about or I'm working with. I select the admission list and I click open. Now once I click open, is in sheet 1 because in this place is only in sheet. I have only sheet 1, so there is no other stuff. And please remember to ensure this is marked good or this is checked. First rule of data contains column header. That is yes. So I say okay. Automatically that we have done. You see, if you want to edit recipient list, you come here and then you see your admission list. You see the stuff you have, the headers, the column headers, and all that if you want. But for us, we don't want to edit anything. Let me say okay. So peradventure there is anything you needed to edit, you can come to this place. Now this is where it gets interesting. So I will come to this place there. What do I need here? What should come in front? That's the person's full name. I will come to insert merge fields. I will come to insert merge field and select the full name. And they select the full name. Now, Congratulations, you have been offered provisional admission into the course. So that course, let me delete this because course should be here so that it will be straight. I will come to next field and put course. Then under what department? Under the department, I will come here and select department. For the section, I will remove this section I have here. For the section, I will come here and insert section. And then admission status, I will come over to this place. Your admission status is, I will come here, insert admission status. So if there are other things, maybe this under these departments is in academic section, this I can now say on, then I can insert dates, admission dates here with, okay, let me even check if there is an ID, yes, with students ID, then I can also insert that from here. So what does this mean? Once I do this, what happens is that if on the student list, which is normal, their email can be here, or their email address. When you are filling the form, we don't do that. Can you hear me now, please? Confirm if you can hear me now. Let's confirm if you can hear me. We are coming to the end of, we are gradually coming to the last. Confirm if you can hear me now. I think mistakenly my mic got muted. Let's confirm if we can hear me. For those of us in the administrative positions, working with data and sending out memos, writing, doing repeated stuff, you have gotten a way of escape this night. You have learned something, a way of escape. Now, this is not only for letter. This is not only for letter. Let's say you are working in an institution and you are giving certificate of award certificates. And maybe you are a HR, you are an admin person, and at the end of the year, company are giving awards to certain individuals, and you are asked to prepare the certificate. There is already a certificate template designed that the organization use for awarding staffs, best staff of the year, this and that. Or a school, you work with in a school, and you each time their result sheet, you print out their result. Each student gets the printout of the result. You can design that in Microsoft Word. Let me show you what I have here. You can have something like this, a certificate of achievement or whatever. You can design something like this. This is in A4. You can design any form of certificate. I just rushed this one and get it something like this. A certificate of achievement, instead of typing their name, making mistake, type their name one after the other. Those of us that served years back, you can remember that NYSC used to have a particular challenge. Those of us that served years back, NYSC used to have a challenge there that sometimes they make mistakes in people's name. You know, then they will tell us when you get your NYSC distance certificate, check your name properly so that you know that there is no mistake on it. That if there is mistake on your name, you can send it back for correction, and then when you send it back, it will take time for you to be corrected and sent back to you. But have you noticed that since documentation, since NYSC begin to go digital, registration is online, whatever and all that, you notice there is no longer any stuff called mistake. Why? Because you the core member, you filled your details online and you make sure that your information is correct. So NYSC is no longer writing your name, writing it on your certificate. No, they are taking your name from the database. That time you filled your form and you submitted your mobilization form and all that to NYSC database. They take it from there. So now when your certificate comes, you see your name is correct because they are no longer typing it. They are just inserting it. This is one of the needs. They just come to the certificate, come where the name should be, merge the certificate of core members with the certificate design, and then print that certificate. So once that is done, just send it to printer, it will be printed. So these are certain stuff that we can leverage to make our work easy and less stressful, my brethren. These things shouldn't be difficult. Some of these things shouldn't be difficult. It's not everything you write code on. It's not everything you code. It's not everything you do the VBA. These things have been done easy. So what do I do now? This is certificate. I can first come here, go to, let's say this is also the certificate list, student certificate lists. Is it this one? Okay, yes, this student certificate list. So what do I do? Let me also save it on my desktop where I can see it easily. Go to desktop. I generated this name anyway, so, and then let me say, okay, I saved it on my desktop. That's the student list, certificate list. Then I come to my Microsoft Word. The certificate is already designed. You know, sometimes we take your certificate, You think your certificate is designed in one sophisticated software. Certificate is paper. It's just the power that is backing it, the force that is backing it. Every certificate is paper. It's just designed. Some certificates are designed in Microsoft Word, some are designed in CorelDRAW. It's just design. This company can design it, add logo, do this, and then do Excel Word merge or Excel Corel merge. So that way, we don't need to stress ourselves typing the name and saying they make mistake on my name. So here, having done that, I can come to mailings. Under mailings, select existing, select recipient, go to use existing list. Under that, I come to my desktop. What am I looking for? I'm looking for university certificate list. That's student certificate. I select this and then say OK. That's sheet 1. My first row containing headers. I say OK. So we have this. So when it comes to certificate number, I will come to insert merge field. Select certificate number. Then come to full name. I will remove this. And then why I put that full name so that I will see where I will put each. So here is full name. I will come to student ID. I will remove with student ID. I will remove it and insert student ID. Then come to matric number. I will remove it. Add the matric number and just this tentatively. Where is the matric number? Okay, here is it. And then come here, has successfully completed the approved course of study and fulfilled all the prescribed requirements for the award of, I will come here, the program, go over to this place and add this program with, I will add the grade, come here, add the grade, then graduation date, given this day, I will remove this. Very easy for us. And then we print people's certificate, graduation date. Very easy for us. As you can see, we have inserted this, program this from all this. We have the certificate number, the grade is here, the graduation date is okay. Did I make a mistake? Sorry, I think I made a mistake. On this day, inserted this graduation date. Yes. So this we have a certificate number, grade, graduation date, program, matric number, full name, and this. So we see we have our certificate ready. So if I want to print for the first one, I will just go and preview. So once I preview, it shows me this certificate number, sat this, the first person is this with so ID, matric number, and with third class given on this day, so date. The signature is already appended by the registrar and vice chancellor and stuff like that. So I can print this. On this, I can press Ctrl P to print. And then send to printer. Once the printer is connected, see that everything is well set. I can select my paper size, the A4 and all that, see that everything is okay and all that. So is what we can do. Once we print that, we come over and select another one. That is just that. You can see it's going. If you click on this, it takes you to the last record, which is the 1000. The 1000. You click on this, it takes you to the first record, which is 1000. And this is the basic Excel Word merge. This is the basic Excel Word merge. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where we will wrap up tonight's section. I said that I will even end by 10, but because I needed to ensure that this is well explained and that we understand this. We can use this Excel Word merge to do anything provided is repeated and we have the data in Excel, we can use it. And it's on that note we have come to the end of tonight's section. For the last attendance, your name, your scholarship ID, much appreciated. Your name, your scholarship ID, and your feedback. How is tonight's section? What and what did you learn? Let me get that feedback from us. How is tonight's section? What and what did you learn? Let me get that feedback from us. Tonight was very, very straightforward, no network glitch, and we appreciate God for that. So let's get our feedback. How is tonight's section? Thank you, Ayomide. Our insightful topics tonight. Thank you for that. What and what did we learn? Let's get our feedback. What and what did we learn? How is tonight's section? Let's get that feedback from us. And also our name, location, and scholarship ID. Our name, location, and scholarship ID, much appreciated for our attendance for tonight. It's getting more and more interesting. It's getting more and more interesting. We are moving gradually. Remember, we said we are going to start from the scratch, and then we move from that scratch, from you being an absolute beginner to becoming an advanced Excel user that you can say, yes, I'm a data analyst. I make use of Excel to analyze my data effectively. That is what we are going to achieve. All right, I'm not going to have your attendance. Let's get our feedback. How is the section tonight? What and what did you learn? Give me that feedback. That alone is a motivating factor to us to know that you are learning something each time we have a section like this in this data analysis scholarship cohort 2 using Microsoft Excel. Thank you everyone for making out time for tonight's section. Much appreciated. I'm also noting those that always come to class, and I also know those that will just come at the beginning, type their name as per attendance and zoom off. I also know that. However, also note that I'm expecting our project assignments. Remember, is stated part of the stuff that will give us this, that will make us qualified to be awarded a certificate as a certified Microsoft Excel data analyst, is the ability for you to submit your project assignments from the one to the last. All right, the next project assignment, number one is to create Excel tables and insert Excel dynamics. Number two is to create pivot tables, insert your slicers, insert your chart, visuals, your pivot chart, your slicers, your timeline, and run some analysis on that pivot table. Remember to save it as a template. That is the second assignment for tonight. Then the third assignment is to create Excel Word mail merge. Create your mail merge for certificate, save it as a template, both the Excel and the Microsoft Word. For certificates, use company certificate or university certificate. Company certificates are Word of Excellence certificate or university certificate, and then admission letter or meeting memo. Any of the two, certificate for company award or university, and letter either for admission letter or memo by companies. Do that. That is the third assignment for tonight's section. So overall, in this cohort 2, we have given 7 project assignments. I'm calculating it. 7 project assignments. And the one of today, I will tell us the submission deadline in the scholarship group. I will tell us the submission deadline in the scholarship group. And it's on that note, I want to say a very big thank you to those of us that stayed with us tonight. See you guys tomorrow for another exciting section. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you and do enjoy.